You wouldn't know it these days, but at one point in gaming history, Dead or Alive was a legitimate fighting game. It was fast, it was technical, and believe it or not, it was even respected. But then, it became a joke. Today, I want to take a look at how Team Ninja's obsession with fanservice strangled their own franchise, and why other games should learn from their mistakes. If we're being real, DOA was always horny. While games like Tekken and Virtua Fighter were pioneering the new age of 3D fighters, DOA 1 set itself apart by being the fighting game for adults, or at least your older teenage brother. The jiggle physics were a meme before memes were even a thing, and characters like Tina and Kasumi made it clear this wasn't the kind of game you wanted to play in front of your parents. But then, DOA 2 happened, and in a twist no one saw coming, it wasn't just competent, it was good. Fast, sexy, stylish. The combat had real depth, counters that demanded frame-perfect timing, dynamic stages, cliff throws, and speed that made other 3D fighters like Tekken feel sluggish. During this glorious era, DOA was the best of both worlds. A game you could play seriously at tournaments and laugh about its absurdity with your friends. And that's what makes its downfall so tragic. DOA didn't fail because it was sexy, it failed because it stopped being anything else. But we'll get to that. So it's 2003. Team Ninja now have 3 games in their franchise. So how do you follow up your sexy fighting game? You dropkick your brand into absurdity with DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball. No combos, no counters, just jiggle physics, gambling, and sunscreen application. And the best part, it didn't need to sell millions to make an impact. The figures data is murky, and while it was never officially reported, or at least I couldn't find it, the game is estimated to have sold approximately 600,000 copies. Not even half of what DOA 3 sold. But who cares, because it cost practically nothing to develop. No combat balancing, no frame data, no supporting the tournament scene, just the same recycled bikini models from DOA 3. Then, in 2005, DOA 4 launched as an exclusive for the Xbox 360. Originally planned as a launch title, the game had to be delayed a bit, and let me tell you, the hype for this game was real. So much so that its delay is seen as the reason the 360 struggled at launch in Japan. But when it did come out a few months after the 360's release, it was included in a bundle that came with a 360, DOA 4, Gears of War, and Halo 3. This deal helped to get the game into so many more players' hands, and helped to promote other Team Ninja games like Ninja Gaiden. Now, fast forward a bit. It's 2012, and DOA hasn't had a mainline entry for 7 years, and there still isn't a DOA game on current-gen PlayStation hardware. Microsoft got DOA 4, but everyone knows the real fighting game scene is on the PlayStation. BAM! DOA on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. This game took what DOA 4 did and polished it to a mirror sheen. Combat is smooth, hits feel heavy, counters feel amazing to pull off, and the PS3 version lets you control the jiggle physics with the 6-axis. Because, of course it does. One less character than DOA 4, but they couldn't put Girl Master Chief in this one, so I guess it's okay. But, wait a minute. Hold on a sec. What's that button there do? That wasn't there in any of the previous games. I wonder what that does. Oh my god, look at all these cool and sexy costumes that I can buy. Yes, Team Ninja were embracing the times, and had included very expensive costume DLC into the game. What's more, they didn't want players to just ignore the downloadable content, so to drive up FOMO, DLC costumes would appear in-game on AI opponents, even if you hadn't bought them. What's more, a year later they would release DOA 5 Ultimate Edition, which added 4 new characters. Only problem was that Team Ninja treated Ultimate as a new release, so to play with the new characters, you would have to rebuy the game. Then, 2 years later, DOA 5 Last Round was released, which added 2 more DLC characters, and thankfully, Ultimate could be upgraded to Last Round. Unfortunately, the DLC upgrade cost is more expensive than just buying the game again. While the DLC for the game would occasionally go on sale, purchasing all the DLC at full price would cost around $1,500 US. This understandably upset a lot of players, and changed public perception of the series from that silly, sexy game with the high skill ceiling to that silly, sexy game where you can pay $56 to dress the girls in Halloween lingerie. But the series maintained its fan base, and while the fan service was becoming more the forefront of the series than ever before, especially with the multiple versions of DOA Extreme 3, Team Ninja had never shied away from the fan service, so it wasn't too bad. Until in 2019, when Dead or Alive 6 was released, and someone at Team Ninja wanted DOA to be part of the esports scene. So, in order to help the game be taken more seriously in a competitive environment, some changes were made. Costumes were made to be more conservative, jiggle physics were toned down, and the combat became a bit more streamlined into a single type of gameplay. No more team or tag battles, just 1v1. In interviews, the director of the game, Yohei Shimbori, would defend the changes made, except there was a big problem with those statements. The DLC. All that sexy content was still available, just at a premium. Whereas DOA 5 Last Rounds DLC would set the player back $1,500 US, DOA 6 would charge the player a staggering $2,500 to buy all of its DLC. The defense from Team Ninja being that players aren't supposed to buy all of it. What we as players were left with was a watered down game and no one wanted to play it. So in 2020, Yohei Shimbori was forced to step down as director of the franchise. And that brings us up to now, where the state of the franchise, or at least the future of DOA as a fighting game, is left up in the air. Team Ninja seems content at this point to just market the series as a watch sexy girls at the beach simulator. But good fan service enhances a game, and there are plenty of examples of great games that lean into their fan service. Nier Automata and Stellar Blade are just two examples that come to mind off the bat. And DOA was a franchise where the fan service helped to set a good, solid fighting game apart from its contemporaries. DOA 5 began the trend of leaning extra hard into the fan service, to the point that it would define the series. DOA 6 tried to fix this, but went too hard in the opposite direction, while still trying to sell the player DLC sexy costumes. Now, as a fighting game, DOA is basically dead. Instead, Team Ninja have shifted their attention to the Extreme spin-off series, where you get to watch the girls lay on the beach and play volleyball. In 2025, they even released Venus Vacation Prism Dead or Alive Extreme, which is a DOA dating sim. But what do you think? Do I give DOA too much credit as a fighting game? Or do you think they were right to try and tone back the fan service? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this kind of content, a like and a subscribe are the best way to support the channel. But until next time, thank you for watching, and I look forward to ranting again for you soon.